Okay, so we are in our second week of online learning. So we're just going to do a quick summary, and then we're going to move on to our hybrid activities. So the first lesson you guys did this week was about variations in characteristics. So that was a little bit hard that we found from our Kahoots. But so just two really important topics that if I could pull out from that lesson is that a characteristic is a feature, and a trait is basically a variation or a type of characteristic. So think of your characteristic as maybe like a category about a feature, or I guess about a person. So like say type of hair, and then the trait itself is a specific answer that could come from that category, which would be say brown hair. We can also classify characteristics into two different kind of groupings. We can have discrete variation and the continuous variation. Discrete means that there's only a specific set of answers. You could either have an attached earlobe or not. You could have a hitchhiker's thumb or not. Or even say, I'm trying to think, maybe even, you know, eye color. Eye color could be considered discrete because it's either you have blue, brown, hazel, and green. But there's typically only like those few set colors for your eyes. Whereas a continuous variation means that you could have a variety of different types, say for example, like the height of humans, or if you were to measure your foot length. The shoe length itself or the shoe size would be discrete because you can only have a certain shoe size and they can only be in half increments. But if you were to measure the foot itself, that would be a type of continuous variation, just because you could have a variety of different answers that differ even by say a millimeter or a centimeter. So then your second lesson was on heredity and genetics. This one here, there was a lot of stuff involved in this one. So we talked about what makes up DNA. So we know that it's a double-stranded shape that's called a double helix. And within your DNA, there's really only 4 chemicals that make up your DNA, and they come up in different combinations. And so those ones are guanine, cytosine, adenine, and thymine. So humans have 46 chromosomes for a total of 23 pairs. And each of those chromosomes will have a bunch of different genetic code in there. They'll have some different genes that tell the body, and as the cells are growing, it'll basically tell its instructions for how you look and some of the different features that you have about yourself. So a gene is an uninterrupted segment of DNA that has coding instructions for a specific characteristic. And so each possible version of a gene is called an allele. So while an allele is the coded information for a characteristic, like say the length of your leg, an allele is the coded information for the specific trait. So whether or not it's actually going to be a short or a long leg. So I put this little diagram in here because I thought it would be actually quite helpful to figure out. I think gene and allele is very similar and easy to get mixed up like with the characteristic and trait. So think of your gene as the position on your chromosome that has that characteristic or that category or that feature. Whereas the allele itself is a specific type of gene. So say, for example, if we're looking at this little chromosome pair right here, they're located in the exact same place. So this area right in here is called a gene, but then the specific type, like allele with a capital A, that one is a specific type of trait for whatever it's coding for. So say if there were, maybe this is the part that tells the body if you have long legs or short legs. Maybe this is the long leg gene and this is the short leg gene. So those ones that would be the type of alleles are the specific types of genes. So gene is the place that you would find it and codes for that certain characteristic, whereas the allele is the specific trait. Okay, almost done here. And we're actually even do an example together about our Punnett square, and we will even I'll unmute you guys and we can do this together. So one thing that I think some people may or may not get confused with as well is what is the difference between a trait and an allele? So basically, an allele codes for a trait. It tells the DNA, tells the cells what's happening. So for example, a trait would be, say, black fur. But then the allele itself would be the 2 capital Bs, which is the genetic information or that coding that says to the body that you are going to have black fur. So so just last one here is that a purebred is an organism that only carries the one type of trait. So say, for example, our allele that we have right up above here is the 2 capital Bs. That one there is a purebred because it's only able to pass off the black fur gene or trait to its offspring. So it's only a carrier of one type, whereas a hybrid would be able to carry 2 different traits. So that would be, say, for example, a big B and a little b. Okay. Thumbs up if we're good to go. Following along with me so far? Give me some thumbs up, please. Do you guys remember where your reactions are? You can use your emojis. Miss Chow's got it. Okay. Mitchell's got some clapping going on. Okay. Oh, Maya's here. Hi, Maya. Sorry, I saw you join late. Okay, awesome. I'll have to make sure I get you into the Science 90 chat. That's awesome.
That's supposed to mean
I don't know how to put a thumbs up, but yeah, I'm putting up a thumbs up.
Thumbs up. Okay, that's fine.
Good.
Yeah, you guys can unmute yourselves now. We're gonna do an example together.
The clapping emoji reaction was supposed to be like a I'm still trying to process everything.
Yeah, there's a lot of information, and you guys will have an assignment to hopefully help make you go back and refresh your brains and kind of help organize everything. But that'll be when we get back from the Easter break.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna do a quick Punnett square together. This one's just gonna be really important because you guys know from my marking that I can be pretty picky. So I just wanna be really specific about what I'm looking for in a Punnett square. So we're just gonna do this through an example. So the example says, having an unattached earlobe is a dominant trait, while an attached earlobe is a recessive trait. We're going to create a Punnett square for the cross between a purebred attached earlobe and a hybrid. And then we're going to list the resulting offspring. And I guess just as a quick side note, when we talk about the resulting offspring, it doesn't mean that it's going to have 4 offspring and these are what's going to happen. It really talks about the chances of the offspring having these types of these traits. Okay, so our first thing that we need to do with a Punnett square is we need to first talk about, well, what letter do we want to use to represent this trait? So what letter do you guys want to use? So we have unattached earlobe and an attached earlobe. What letter, and it could be any, but what letter do you guys want to use for this?
Let's go with C.
Sure. And you know what though? I don't care which letters you're using. You just have to tell me, and you use your let statements if you guys have done that in math. So
because I see it.
And you want the capital C, remember, to be that dominant trait, which is your unattached earlobe.
Because I see it.
Sure, yeah. And then we're gonna let little c be your recessive trait, which is the attached earlobe. Okay. So the next thing that we need to do with a Punnett square is we just need to give it a title. So what are we talking about here? You can really just say your dominant versus recessive trait, but be a little bit specific as unattached earlobe versus attached earlobe. So you need a title, okay? You need to do your let statements with your dominant or recessive trait. You need a title. Then in this first row here, we're going to put one of the parents. It doesn't matter which one comes first, as long as you have it in there correctly. In terms of spacing out those letters. So our first one here, we were given that we have a purebred attached earlobe. So what letters, would it be 2 capital C's or 2 lowercase c's to represent an attached earlobe? Look at your let statements here. Are we going to use capital C's or little c's for a purebred?
Capital.
Okay,
yeah.
And so look here, we're working with attached earlobe, which we said here was a little c. Okay, so for your parent, you're going to have a little c and a little c. Then the next parent that we have is a hybrid, which means that it has one of each. So we have a capital C here and a lowercase c right there. So that one's a little bit hard just because we can't tell that's capital, so I'm just going to bold this one. Okay. So then to complete our Punnett square, we're going to basically do this like you kind of do it like you would read a multiplication table. And we always put the dominant trait first, and then the recessive comes afterwards. Just as some of the standard notation that we kind of do for our science here. So when we're moving over to this square right here, we want to read what's happening in the row going horizontally. We want to see what's happening vertically as well. So you have a big C and a little c crossing here. So we would have one hybrid offspring happening here. Here we have a big C mixing with a little c. So once again, same sort of result. Moving on down, we have little c and a little c. Same thing here, we have little c from this parent, little c from that parent, so we have CC as well. So does someone want to tell me what 4 chances are that we have for the offspring?
Attached earlobe.
Okay, so this one, we have one that's attached earlobe. So with the offspring, I'm just gonna, I guess this one here is what I'll be looking for. So I'll be looking for basically our results right in this table, just to summarize it. So we have a big C, little c, big C, little c, small c's, and small c's. So if you have a hybrid right here, this means that the dominant trait is going to show. So we would have 2 organisms that have unattached earlobes. So they'll be unattached, sorry. Let's learn how to spell here, Miss Murchie. And then we have the other 2, which are little c's. Those are your recessive traits. And they're both recessive, meaning that the that trait will show. So then we'll have 2 offspring
that have attached earlobes.
Awesome. Okay. There we go. Fixing up my typos there. Perfect. So, and I guess just as a little bonus question, what are the chances of each offspring happening? So what is the chances that you're going to have a hybrid?
50?
So yeah, you have a 50% chance, but this is, so say you would say that there's a 2 out of 4 chance, which you would reduce to 1 out of 2. Good. And so what are your chances of having a purebred attached earlobe?
1 out of 4?
Well, how many are there? There's 2.
1 out of 2. 1 out of 2.
Yeah, 2 out of 4, which is 1 out of 2. Good. Anyway, so there's just some important things I'm looking for about your Punnett square. So I need to have your let statements. I need to have a title, and then you need to fill out your information. One little part here up here is for one parent. This one here is for the other parent. And then you cross them like you would, say, for a multiplication or addition table. Remember, your dominant trait always comes first. If there is no dominant trait, then you just write the lowercase letters. That's fine. Okay. Then our last little one before we get to our activity is that for hybrids, basically they're a cross between 2 different species. And so the examples that I given was, say, like a liger, where with a liger, you always have the male name first. So we're starting off with the lion, which is your male, and then the second part of the name is usually the female. So in that case is the tiger. We also had examples like your pisley. I think we had a wolfen, which was a whale and a dolphin. And we had the mule, and we had a beefalo. It was great. Loved it.